But even his decision-making, the late Ragnarok on the turret dive cost him his life in a position that he could have gotten out of. So even the decision-making, what he's known for, is kind of going away from ClearLove.
Yeah, and Peanut, despite the 3 jungle bans we saw in the previous draft phase with the Nidalee Elise and Rek'Sai, was incredibly effective on the Lee Sin. It's his most played champion by far in North American solo queue, really using it to get that early game pressure going.
Interesting is that he has Olaf as his second most played in solo queue, has never played a competitive game on Olaf, but have a feeling we'll see it somewhere in this series.
It might be likely right now. 2 bans through on each side. Nidalee banned away red side. No big surprise here, but that does free up a couple bans for Edward Gaming. They're actually going to ban the Olaf themselves, so 3 junglers off the table. But a lot of the things that were available still up. The Rek'Sai that Rox Tigers had banned before, the Poppy that Rox Tigers had banned before, as well as the Jhin that was afraid before, and it's going to all be left up. So Rek'Sai banned away. First pick, Kennen, comes through for Kuro.
Yeah, interesting set of events right here, because I think ClearLove would love to get in some type of Rek'Sai matchup, and Rox is just not going to let that happen because they're not that fearful of many EDG players, and they can almost just use the Rek'Sai ban on them. The Kennen ban also puts Kuro in a very dangerous situation. You talk about that jungle proximity, PapaSmithy, the 20% to 3% amounts to 2 minutes and 20 seconds that Peanut spent top lane versus 26 seconds that ClearLove spent top lane. So if that's going to happen again, it's going to be hard for Kuro's Kennen to have any impact in this matchup.
We saw the Fiora hover. Smeb, a very well-known Fiora player back at Worlds. Last year, hasn't played it as much, especially in summer season, but man can dream. I'd love to see some top lane carrying from Smeb. Jace was a nice start. Let's see if he has another gear to the top lane carry.
And I'm also waiting for the moment when someone will prioritize the support Zyra more than the Korean teams, because obviously there is a pluritude of reasons that the Korean teams can win, from coordination to teamwork, but the support Zyra has been so good because it's helping you push the laning phase, it's helping you with objective control, and it's helping your late game as well as having a strong laning phase because of how you can scale with Leander's on Zyra. So once again, Rox Tigers get Zyra, and you can see how important they think it is.
I think the interesting thing about the Zyra pick is that you can see the Karma is kind of a lane nullifier, maybe has even more lane pressure early, but late game, you compare what Zyra brings in a team fight with an amazing disengage to Karma's speed up and then damage that gets soaked by tanks. It feels like Zyra really outscales and goes 50-50 in lane, which makes the Zyra very priority.
Yeah, definitely a strong laner on the general spectrum right here. Maybe a Nami or Karma can handle up against it, but also considering that, imagine if EDG got the champion with how little. Those are not locked in. Those are not locked in. It still hovers actually on both these sides. You've got to correct us here for a second, but that's not guaranteed Twitch and Aurelion Sol unless my champ select is desynced. I don't think so.
Okay.
You can see the timer still ticking down for Rox Tigers. There we go. That's actually lined up now more properly. But talking about a Zyra point, and again, Rox Tigers prioritizing it very heavily.
Whoa.
With the bot lane being the one that works well for Edward Gaming, I'd actually like to see a carry support, right? Get more damage out there alongside Deft, because someone else needs to do some of the heavy lifting. And finally, we do see Aurelion Sol and actually Maokai the pickup here for Smeb.
Yeah, the Maokai lines up fairly well with wanting Peanut to carry the lane, because if you're going to be running a tank top lane, it's a setup champion for Peanut's ganks if they're expecting to be able to get 2v1s in the top side.
And there's really succinct itemization you can go into to deal with double AP as a Maokai. Loves to build Spirit Visage. Any more magic resist, then you put down that ultimate, and suddenly you're negating a lot of the AoE damage that Ryze and Kennen are putting out. Smeb hasn't played Maokai, hasn't been a common pick in Korea for a very long time, but you have to say, they're holding AD carry for last pick, and they're setting up for high damage, so that's why I don't mind looking for more engage, because Twitch, a famous Prey Twitch he's been playing since Season 1, is certainly an option as a last pick.
Definitely a thought right here. We've got to see what else comes through for Edward Gaming first, though. When you've got a champion like Hecarim, it's a little bit harder to play Twitch without dying here on this one. Of course, his team still has plenty of healing tools, but Hecarim going to come back in here for ClearLove with that same Karma support.
Yeah, ClearLove had some questionable games on Hecarim during the playoffs in the LPL, but with so many junglers off the board right now, they want to bring at least a little bit of tankiness in that jungle position, because the other option would really be something like Graves, and they don't feel confident in that matchup apparently.
I mean, interestingly, his Hecarim was his best performing champion. He had the unique champions all the way through groups. I actually think his Hecarim was on the better end. He did struggle on some of the more meta picks, so it is a jungler that has ramp up time, wants to build damage from the jungle where possible. It's going to be a support Karma, so the shields won't necessarily baby him through fights if he goes for Trinity Force first, but onto the Rox Tigers. Is it going to be the Ezreal who can do the damage? Caitlyn is another option that does do good damage as well. I think they would have considered the Twitch, but with the Hecarim, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I think there are many reasons you haven't seen Twitch so far in this tournament as far as the laning phase is concerned. So the Caitlyn makes the most sense. It's actually incredibly similar to the team composition the Rox Tigers played in Game 1. The Jace was banned away from them, but aside from that, they picked the same champions. The difference with this is you're replacing a high damage poke champion with a really tanky engaged champion, which means Rox actually wants to play more aggressively in team fights and expect more teleport flanks.
You could also say they're losing the potential for a champion to take over the lane. It's very difficult for Maokai to get far enough ahead where he has any semblance of kill pressure on Kennen, so it might be one less pressure point for Peanut to be super aggressive around, because maybe equalizing top, but taking over top, very difficult for Maokai to do.
Right, I totally agree. I think it's very interesting that the brightest point for Rox Tigers was smashing the top lane open. And okay, they still got the Lee Sin for early gank pressure, but you're right, you don't expect Maokai to completely smash the lane open, take a 10-minute turret, and continue to be a major split push threat. So Rox Tigers kind of need a different wedge to break into this game now. Still be able to handle the rest of everything Edward Gaming can throw at them.
Yeah, we've seen a very small amount of Maokai so far in this tournament. Yeah. Oftentimes it is because he can get pushed in the laning phase, but in a sense, this is just confidence with Smeb and Peanut themselves that they're not worried about Kuro's Kennen and can then bring that monstrous tank against a double AP team in team fights.
All right, well, we'll see how this game unfolds. We are getting ready for Game 2, and you at home, make sure to share your memories from 2016 Worlds using the hashtag #WorldsBigPlays. Tweet to us at LOL Esports. We're on the lookout for the best fan tweets always, and let's see what the biggest plays were from the quarterfinals as we get ourselves ready for the second game. Rox Tigers of South Korea up 1-0 against the Chinese LPL's Edward Gaming. A best-of-5 about to unfold, and here we go with Game 2.
Dream Series kind of started the way we expected. Rox Tigers did actually parlay their strong 2 games at the end of groups to a strong first game of this best-of-5, but EDG have always excelled in a best-of-5 scenario. The best-of-5 got them to MSI to famously beat SKT, was a nail-biter against LGD, went 5 games. The best EDG series go the full mile, and if they can bring it back here, we have a really intriguing series on our hands.
Yeah, and it's going to be so difficult for them to bring it back. You need a lot of mental fortitude to recover from the types of mistakes they're making in that game. So easily you can turn on each other if you see a player making a lot of mistakes in team fights, especially if he is one of your leaders like ClearLove. So the teams need to double down on their efforts, supporting behind ClearLove, and have faith that they can make the plays happen, because you have to be an initiator sometimes against the Rox Tigers if you want to punish their aggression.
They've definitely got initiation tools here on Edward Gaming, though. Kennen with a Karma to speed it up. A Realm Warp again for the Kennen and the Hecarim to get in the back line. Deft can help as well on Jhin. Everyone is empowered to start fights here on EDG.
And I actually really like this from EDG, because when you look at some of the overall trends from the summer split, where they were undefeated in the LPL, you often saw a lot of the initiation coming from other roles that weren't the jungler, so that ClearLove could follow up on fights that had already been started by Defts, Sivir, or Ashe, or even by something like a Maokai in top lane or a Lissandra in mid lane. So here, because they have the Kennen, the Jhin, the Ryze that can all start fights, ClearLove can follow up better in a lot of these fights.
Smeb's going to actually have an experience advantage when he gets to lane. The 3 saplings at the Raptors took out the little Raptors, so might actually surprise Kennen with a nice level 2 trade.
Any player worth their salt should be pressing tab and seeing that he walks in a lane with 3 minion kills, but if he misses that, Smeb will level up on the end of the first wave instead. Kuro doing something very similar, of course, taking away the Raptors on the other side of the map, and 2 level 2 solo laners for Rox Tigers.
And this happened last game as well. Note that Scout had to spend time to clear the minions that had crashed in his turret, therefore could not defend that Raptor take by the Rox Tigers. So they take the Raptors very quickly in this early game. And Kuro actually doesn't care that much about the harass, because Aurelion Sol with the Corruption Potion can heal up and then also return to lane very quickly.
Ooh, and unfortunate for Scout right there. The Q actually didn't bounce off the melee minion onto the range once. He would have gotten 100 damage on a Kuro right there if they were just in bounce range. He had set the spell flux up, didn't quite get it. And we'll see how the rest of this plays out. Meiko steals a minion away. Doesn't really mean too much, but Deft only on 9. Unlucky. Otherwise, bot lane's pretty much equal. We're going to see Kuro 1 facing off against Smeb, who again had that early Raptor take inflating his stats, but even still, Smeb's winning the lane. You can discount that. ClearLove looking for a play in the bot lane.
Now they're hoping that Rox use either a Grasping Roots or something aggressive in lane before he would even try that gank. They end up giving it some respect, and ClearLove goes to clear the rest of the jungle.
One of the reasons why it's smart to path around bot to look for that unlikely Hecarim level 3 gank is if you actually get Zyra's flash down early, Karma can just kind of run at the Zyra. She's still very squishy. The tether comes in, and that can be another potential way to attack the bot lane. So if you get the flash, it's a big win, but ClearLove, this time at least, time wasted.
Nice little deadly flourish there by Deft for getting a bit of damage in. So far, bot lane a bit equal. It's just the major push lead here for the Rox Tigers duo. Would you expect based on the champion select here? And it's really on either ClearLove to put in gank pressure to stop that from happening, or the rest of EDG to survive or lay under their turret more often than not. You might see something more volatile happen in the next couple of minutes here as they've been trading blows back and forth otherwise. So both junglers far enough away that nothing should be happening.
Notice Kuro also gets the blue buff handed off to him by Peanut. Might be less likely that Scout can get a blue buff. There is a mana-hungry Hecarim in the jungle on EDG's side, so this actually just increases the amount of pressure that Kuro can have in the mid lane, and also increases the rate at which he can roam to other lanes.
And the way he shops, he actually prioritized fitting in the pink ward.
ClearLove the play onto Kuro. He's going to flash. The knockback's going to still happen. Oh, he doesn't go far enough back, and Kuro gets back to his turret anyway. That was tight. Nearly first blood for Edward Gaming.
Yeah, but it does burn both summoners, which is actually super critical. Scout can flash for the next gank, and if ClearLove is level 6, that actually would be a kill. So they now have a way of getting an advantage in that mid lane if they can execute it, and if Peanut can't be there for the counter game.
It's only going to be the double pink wards. So one just placed down by the Aurelion Sol on the top side of the lane. Lee Sin has one, but traditionally Peanut will be using that pink ward to actually help his top laner. But on Maokai, maybe there is a bit more priority for Peanut to be around the mid lane more than he has traditionally and in game 1.
You're actually seeing the push pressure mean a lot now in this bottom lane. Look at the gold deficit right now. Or I should say gold lead for Rox Tigers, 600 up. Ooh. Decent. Kuro wants this actually. Doesn't have the Q up in time. It just now came back from cooldown. Smart of him to not complete the dive, but still took a turret shot he didn't need to. The earlier point, though, was the bottom lane matchup. -11 right now for Deft. The push, of course, is always very hard for Jhin to last hit properly under a turret. The reload and limited shots are all very difficult for him, and the repeated push from Rox Tigers and the fact they're not really getting ganked is denying gold out of Deft's hands.
Yeah, and you can just see how good Gorilla and the rest of the Korean supports have been getting at this support Zyra. They have so much confidence, and in almost every game you're seeing the Karma pick directly into it. And you'd want the Karma to be able to land, harass, and have the kill threat, but it just hasn't been playing out that way. And Peanut is on the hunt. If Deft can complete the recall, no!
Ooh, gonna get hit up with a couple of plants, but not rooted crucially. It's actually Gorilla saving that one for Meiko, so Deft stays live, keeps it trapped. Here comes a lot of the rest of the team. It's a bit of a 4v3 right here. ClearLove hoping to do a little bit of helping. The question is, when can Scout make it down? That Ryze is on the roam. Gorilla to help control the brush. How brave does he really feel?
Both top laners use TP to get back to lane, so everyone was shown down bottom side, and Rox actually decides not to go super aggressive this early in the game. Even though heal was down, Meiko is still Karma and can have a very powerful shield in an attempt to dive, not to mention the exhaust. So for now, Rox understands that the poke on a Deft gives them even more lane pressure, and that's enough for them in this moment.
It was still a win for the Rox Tigers. Still got the heal down. They couldn't get a flash, which would have been really big. They could get the flash down on Deft, but we'll still give them lane control and allow them to overextend as they have been the whole laning phase.
This also handcuffs ClearLove to the bottom side because Peanut is spending time down here as well. So ClearLove really wants to rush level 6 so that he can go back mid lane and execute the gank we talked about with Ryze. But the longer Peanut keeps him down here, the lower the jungler experience stays and the closer Kuro gets to his summoner spell.
And there's even more importance there because remember, we're expecting expensive build for ClearLove. Trinity Force is an option. In general, the budget from the jungle is hard for Hecarim to really get ahead. A lot of poke coming onto ClearLove and friends.
And he's just getting behind as well, trying to absorb a little bit of XP down to this lane. And at the very least, yes, he's getting experience for the minion kills, but still not what he would have wanted in the jungle itself. And Kuro staying down here for several waves.
And the thing is, if EDG abandon this, they're still giving up first turret. Even if they stay, they're likely to be giving up first turret. ClearLove still level 5, and he's caught.
Caught out with Chain CC. First blood comes through. The flash into the kick for Peanut. Gets it down for himself. The re-engage by Scout means nothing. A body block on the overload is nice. And that is 600 gold in for Rox Tigers.
But as Jatt's saying, it was a lose-lose for EDG. Lee Sin can just get a warrior enchant, build some tank items. He'll do his role in teamfights. ClearLove desperately wants to be farming to keep that economy up on the Hecarim pick. He had nowhere to go. He ends up overstaying in lane, body blocking to allow Deft and Scout to walk up, and good focus fire and good macro from Rox Tigers.
Peanut was level 6 as well. The flash kick while he still had his safeguard up makes it a completely safe execution in that situation, and that just really helps Rox Tigers early game. Once again, Peanut going to look to punish.
It's actually really important, judging the fact that Peanut has been able to last hit with his ultimate twice now, because I have seen Lee Sins who misjudge their damage and kick someone to safety and go, oh, what a bonehead move we could have had him. Peanut comfortable enough with the champion to be okay with this one. The trade of ultimates in the top lane meaning very little with how durable they are compared to their damage outputs, but Peanut definitely has been on point in this series.
I think it's a mindset thing as well, Phreak. A lot of junglers don't want to take the kills, but Peanut, even on a champion like Lee Sin, this team trusts him with gold, even if the champion doesn't necessarily play to it like Elise. Taking a casual 2/3 of his life in one trade.
But he got 10 gold back from killing plants, so you tell me if it's worth it. It wasn't, but I just wanted to bring that one up real quick.
Yeah, and it makes it a tough lane too, because they're already pushed in and they're up against an Aurelion Sol plus a Maokai who's going to have his teleport up shortly, so they can't really push up in that lane.
Wow, look at that, the preemptive flash from Kuro. He was so afraid of the listening advance coming through, but now
Kill that plan.
sniping towards the minions, and Deft just gonna wave clear with his ultimate. Not getting a lot out of that one, to be honest. Just trying to get rid of the minions and push on forward. ClearLove is level 6 now. Peanut, though, fighting Scout to fight for the blue buff, but be careful, the Hecarim around. The knockout's gonna come through regardless, and now it's Meiko dodging away from all the
Great
CC, running out of help, but actually get away with it. Beautifully played by Meiko to survive.
And that's just it. It was beautifully played, but they burned 3 summoner spells just to survive, and they're not getting advantages anywhere else on the map. So this is actually looking quite grim early on for EDG, because Rox Tigers have actually taken their game 1 early game and pushed it to the next level.
And it's a return to form for Peanut. Suddenly he's that battle ward again, fighting at the top, making people accountable. That means that there was no pressure of a counter gank in bot. They'll take the first turret blood, the first brick, if you will, in the bot lane. Another casual 2,500 gold lead at 10 minutes for Rox Tigers.
Absolutely a smashing of a game right now, Rox Tigers. The question I had was, ooh, you didn't pick a smashing top lane matchup. You're not going to win the lane for free. Are you going to win the other lanes? Turns out they're going to obliterate the other lanes. The first pick red side, Zyra, you can have the Jhin, don't worry, we'll push you in a turret and make your life even harder than it was in the previous game. And Rox Tigers have an answer for everything Edward Gaming is doing.
And I think that's why a lot of the Chinese analysts really object to the Hecarim pick from Clips. Not necessarily the mechanics or the decision-making, which at times have let him down. It's just this guy is known for being kind of a second support for bot lane, helping the bot lane get ahead. And Hecarim's kit and item build just doesn't lend itself to that. There's a Sheen in the inventory. It probably will be a Trinity Force. He doesn't want to be wasting lane trying to salvage 2v2s in the bot lane.
It's so difficult right now for EDG because they want ClearLove to become a damage threat, but if he continues on this itemization path, he will be something that Rox can slice through like paper in these team fights, because even though, yes, they have a Maokai instead of a Jace, with Prey and Gorilla being damage threats, they have easily enough damage in these team fights, not to mention the map pressure they gain from having that bottom turret.
And a lot of the Karma nerfs will actually hit support Karma the hardest, where the shield value nerfs, you only level shield second, you get to that level 11, 12, 13 a lot later, and the amount of shielding to just try and baby ClearLove through a fight with an extra 200, 300 effective health isn't there now that a lot of the shielding is backloaded to the higher levels.
The whimper of us. Oh, this is rough stuff right now for Kuro. You've got the rest of the team coming in for him, and it's a 3v1. Nowhere to go. Goodbye to Kennen, but now the re-engage on the bot side. Prey gets one on a Meiko. A trade kill for ClearLove. Something finally on the board for Edward Gaming. Not a complete shutout, and Scout wants in as well. Lands the Rune Prison. Spiraling in past the minions, and they're going to block the rest of the skill shot, so nothing else for Scout to do on this one. And at least forcing Summoner Heal out of Prey, but that is still a 2-for-1 long-term for Rox Tigers.
Exactly. The cross-map play comes in, multiple fights happen at the same time, and in the top side, you got to see the inbuilt synergy of the Maokai and the Lee Sin. We're going to take a look at the bottom side, though, where EDG recognizes there's everyone top lane, try and make a play on the bottom side, and it's actually a bit of a disaster that Meiko gets caught in the traps while Prey can hit him over the wall, and that Rox actually gets a kill out of this, considering they invested 4 people against 2 on the bottom side.
4v2 and a 1-for-1 is just obscenely bad for EDG. It continues that snowball, even though ClearLove was the one to pick up the kill credit. Rox using their resources better and a lead to show. So more resources, smarter with them. Rox Tigers, big lead.
And we expect them to continue to play very well. Rox Tigers, at about 20 minutes in the previous game, had just absolutely broken the game apart. They're doing so a little bit early. The flash engage on Kuro. More CC to follow. Not even a chance from the runaway with his life. It's going to be the last hit on Peanut. Why not secure another one? 2-0-1 here for the jungler. Rox Tigers getting farther and farther and farther ahead.
It's just schoolyard bully stuff onto Kuro, the new guy in the lineup. Keep going around his lane, even though the matchup isn't the Jace where you expect the ganks to come. They just parlay the Maokai CS lead. 24 CS lead on Maokai in a range versus melee matchup is so big for Smeb.
But the thing is, he's going to get that CS advantage if he can stack magic resist and has the gank threat in that lane. So what EDG need to be doing, and this is kind of what Spawn mentioned on the analyst desk, is if EDG wants to strategize around this game, they almost need to accept that Kuro was going to lose lane, as long as Rox has to invest in it. And they have invested in it. Kuro has been roaming multiple times on Aurelion Sol, and Kennen has been going up there continually. So if EDG is not actually making the plays on the other side of the map, they have no chance.
Exactly. As you're saying, Jatt, you look at the rest of the map, you're like, what did they get for so many people being invested top? And the pink wards are sticking for Rox. The first Drake, very likely to go to Rox. There it is, confirmed. EDG are losing and not trading for anything.
He's just been really unable to. Scout has kind of picked himself into the same matchup he did in the previous game. Picked the blind, picked Ryze into the assumed Aurelion Sol. Gets pushed in, gets roamed on, and so far Scout's been unable to really capitalize on the farm he's been getting. It's just been leave the mid lane, go elsewhere, and get kills over and over for Rox Tigers.
Exactly, and let's talk about some more things that Rox Tigers are doing well, considering they had a poor group stage where they missed on a lot of different areas. In group stage, their vision control in the mid lane was abysmal. And you look at it in this game, they have multiple pink wards in the river, and Kuro has total command of that mid lane. So not only are Rox Tigers playing around the sides of the map, they're also playing through the heart of it, which amounts in total map control and a crushing in the early game, 4,000 gold at 15 minutes.
Games like this just don't happen for Rox, where they have a wave clear advantage and a roam advantage from mid, but that's the unique thing that Aurelion Sol can provide, and I think it's quickly becoming a must-ban champion against Rox.
And that's the thing. Aurelion Sol has been a must-ban champion against teams that struggle with mid-lane pressure because he gives you all the options. He does shove against every champion, and he can roam, which makes it very surprising that this wasn't a super high priority pick for Kuro earlier, and it also makes it even more surprising that it wasn't then thrown on the ban phase for EDG or an early pick, because it enables so much for this team.
Aurelion Sol's definitely had ebbs and flows. Only person in Korea who was playing it with any regularity was Fly. Same thing with Huhi in America. In the boot camps, everyone was saying Aurelion Sol must play, must have in the champion pool. A lot of people put a lot of time into it, and it's paying off finally for Kuro. He looks very practiced on Aurelion Sol.
Definitely looks good on it, but you asked, Edward Gaming's bans, why don't they put that one in there? Well, they decided to add an Olaf ban to the mix, one that they had picked early in the previous game, and, well, didn't do much with ClearLove, but wanted to deny it from Peanut, but it clearly shows that Peanut's Lee Sin seems to be just as deadly, and I agree, Aurelion Sol definitely appears to be a bit of an issue right now for the Edward Gaming camp, as they're not trying to take it for themselves. Kuro's just doing very well so far today on this champion. 5,000 gold lead for Rox Tigers. They recently pressured down top lane outer. That wasn't too difficult either from the prior lane advantage Smeb was getting, as he's constantly pushing Kuro in around the map, up 27 minions, up a turret kill. So far, so wonderful for Rox Tigers.
And you just kind of think about what could EDG do to get back in this game. It's quite difficult thanks to the magic resist stacking on Smeb and the fact that Deft is very far behind the item curve of prey. So you would hope that they can realm warp somehow into a numbers advantage fight. And this is what Scout hasn't necessarily been able to do on the Ryze against the Aurelion Sol. This is the 4th or 5th time we've seen Ryze picked against it, because theoretically, you can match the Aurelion Sol roams with Realm Warps and counter gank, but they haven't done that a single time.
And for a lot of those engages, you need aggressive vision. Their vision line is so shallow, very, very defensive vision for EDG, so you just can't hope to just launch people blindly. They tried that in the top lane in game 1 and found a Zyra who killed them, so they just really don't have the latitude to make the sort of aggressive moves, and in the end, they just have Caitlyn's walking up to their turrets and they're super defensive and lose and bleed objectives slowly.
Now, the bleeding might continue. No tourniquet in sight for Edward Gaming as they continue this 5,000 gold deficit. Rox Tigers just continuing to push farther and farther ahead. Prey rotated towards the mid lane. He's going to be the big battering ram down for the mid lane outer turret as they hope to knock down the 3 of them In the first 18 minutes in, Gorilla around to help. You've got the Aurelion Sol, making sure everyone is zoned away. And that's going to be the third consecutive turret kill now for Rox Tigers. 6,000 gold ahead. Looking for a bit more now as the re-engage might come through, but Kuro not even wincing as he takes those 4 shots. Did he even take damage? I'm not sure. Rox Tigers in complete control.
Definitely not much. You can see Deft is behind in items. He's only level 9. That's the rank 1 curtain call. Kuro with the GLP already has some health built up, so relatively tanky. And now they look to roam bottom.
There you go, bot lane tier 2. Smeb is there. If they need to dive the turret, he can engage, no problem. Tanking enough on the Maokai. And look at that, from full health, you get a couple of guys to walk down here. Prey just here for show, shoots it once, shoots it twice, turret goes down, gets credit for the kill. Typical AD carry mentality, didn't do any of the hard work, but gets the scoreboard point anyway.
And the Hecarim pick just really hurts Deft the most. You can count on ClearLove to get Deft through laning phases after dying early, after losing the turret early. Casual 50 CS loss below his opponent number in Prey, and that's why that damage is barely tickling even the Aurelion Sol, let alone someone like Smeb.
And it really has just been consistent and persistent map pressure from the Rox Tigers. Look at the wards they're able to get everywhere they go. They had the early Tracker's Knife, they've upgraded to the maximum Sights on Gorilla, and they always have the aggressive wards that let them make plays like this.
The kick is in, the chase through as well. Meiko's gonna survive, gonna land the root into Peanut, but there's just not enough damage to deal. ClearLove really wants in though. Can he get the attacks? He's gonna go for the ulti. Nice dodge from Peanut. Still alive somehow, but Scout's there with a vengeance. Now on to Kuro they go. The root's gonna land. A couple more shots should do it, but he's tanky enough. He lands the stun. He might kill off ClearLove, but no, now he's in the danger zone. This could be enough, and no, it's still gonna be the one picked up. Nicely played by Kuro to get away. The Viking on the bottom side. Gorilla getting a ton of damage across on this one. Kuro gonna lose his life as well, and that is the ace for 1. Beautifully played by Rox Tigers.
Woo, and that is how Rox Tigers love to fight. The other team desperately trying to chase after them while they just walk further and farther into enemy territory. And all Rox has to do is walk down the rest of the map, have Smeb collapse over the wall, Gorilla with a beautiful flash to finish off the combo. Rox Tigers extend their already massive lead.
They just don't have the items to make those sort of plays. You're hearing the cheers in the crowd. Rox Tigers are playing with their tails up, with the flair they're known for. They all started with this pick on Meiko. Action was pretty slow at the start, but EDG thought they finally had a chance to go in.
And they did, because you look at where Zyra is at the start of this play, and also where Smeb's Maokai is, but Peanut just walks to the right while ClearLove alls to the left, completely misses that, and they think, okay, we got Peanut, and we have everyone here. It's time to fight. Kuro lands an ultimate on almost everyone, and then Smeb is finally here.
And Zyra ends up being the MVP of this fight, and for now, just slowly walking, and then you see everyone grouping up, and Gorilla licks his lips. Second time, he's got the wombo engage. It was a disengage one in the first game. It's an engage Zyra this time. That's how you know you're doing well, when your Zyra's confident to flash engage on the enemy.
Triple grasping roots, and supports often get cut off of the damage champs in the last team fight, but I assure you he was going to be really high on that one. Still Kuro, as they're chasing after him, consistently damaging them the whole fight.
Casual 10,000 gold lead for Rox now. Trinity Force, not even a Cinder Hulk for ClearLove. It's just going to explode instantly when he tries to walk into a fight. Hecarim is only powerful if he can threaten and engage. If he just takes a couple of auto attacks from Prey, it's going to have to go back to Fountain.
And it's so interesting because I feel like this happened yesterday as well in Royal versus SKT, where you had the Korean squad coming out ahead very, very well. And this is, of course, all credit to Rox Tigers being up 10,000 gold. And then you have these fights where it's like, ooh, Royal could have made it in, or EDG in this case could have made it into that fight. But the items are so disparate with the 7,000 gold difference, 8,000 gold difference, that those kills don't come through. And when Kuro lives with 200 HP with a Hecarim chasing him, if that game were tied, that kill comes through 100% of the time, and the gold lead just kind of ballooning on itself. That ace happened because of the prior lead, and Rox Tigers saying, yes, we would be happy to fight you with the items we have, and they get farther and farther ahead.
Can't just, get even further ahead than this game and then see Rox Tigers in this form and lick your lips at what SKT versus Rox in the semifinals may look like, because these are two practiced powerhouse of Korean League of Legends, but they play so differently. And when Rox has their fire up, they look like the one team that can actually unsettle that consistent, balanced approach from SKT and really take things forward. First things first here, of course, but Rox Tigers finally bringing that LCK form into the next level.
I agree, and you consistently see this Caitlyn Aurelion Sol combination, which I feel like has to be disrupted for anyone that wants to beat this team, because we've seen other teams do this in this tournament like COG. All they have to do is walk towards the turret with the Aurelion Sol, and if you want to harass the Caitlyn off of auto attacks, you walk into the danger zone of the Aurelion Sol orb. So it's incredibly difficult to stop. They move up, get to map control, now peel the Baron with the Zyra, who's tanking a lot of the damage from Baron for them.
The crazy thing in all of this is that I think the Aurelion Sol is the one champion that has thrown EDG's pick and ban off. They thought they could keep Kuro in lane wave clearing. It didn't work, but Baron time.
The Baron's already been picked up, but maybe this is the fight that Edward Gaming needs. Exhaust on right in time, and it's already 1 kill picked up. Make that 2. Baron's gone, 1 trade kill, but it's a 4 versus 3, and it might just get worse. The snipe gonna come through, gonna tag Meiko in the back, below 1,000 HP.
Smeb is taking the long way around to cut off the retreat.
And there's nowhere to go. Deft gets shut down once again. Peanut gets that kill. Now Meiko also rooted up against the wall. A double kill for the Rox Tigers jungler. It's 4 for 1. Not even a problem right now. Rox Tigers with Baron looking to push through.
It's 23 minutes into the game and 14,000 gold ahead. Game in the books. Not going to break the record books for this tournament at least, but this game might end on this push.
This is an incredible display by the Rox Tigers, and EDG have to be very disappointed as well based on their pre-tournament expectations and being an undefeated team in the LPL to then be down 15,000 gold 24 minutes in against the Rox Tigers. EDG is getting destroyed.
Absolutely blasted is one way to put it, because this is a crushing tale right now for Rox Tigers. 24 minutes in, top inhibitor already gone, quick reset, still 2 minutes after the Baron buff. We'll see how much more they can take on the next time.
The Baron's just so fast. They have so many items that no way for EDG to be in there. And ClearLove walks up. Remember, it's Trinity Force and a bit of a Cinderhawk, I believe, still at this point. Exhaust is on point. Sure, Gorilla gives up his life, but because Smeb is smart enough to take the longest route possible to the inner turret, there's just nowhere for EDG to run.
Exactly. Deft realizes he's going to be cut off, was hoping to sneak some damage in, but Kuro gets the stun from Aurelion Sol, and then Meiko was cut completely off by Smeb, so 4 kills. ClearLove was the only one who managed to escape.
Just explain to me who is going to kill a Spirit-Visaged Iceborne Gauntlet Guardian Angel Maokai in this game. And the answer is no one, even if it goes pretty damn late.
Whoever is commanding the Nexus is.
Okay,
if he decides
that's true.
the Nexus time, because Jhin will not proc on the Nexus. But aside from that, there's just such little damage on EDG right now. Baron minions pushing up, 1 inhibitor already down. Let's watch Rox work.
One more attempt to try to keep the game alive. Edward Gaming going for the roadblock. Kuro gets in without the exhaust this time around. A shutdown comes through. They got prey. The knockup already came in. 4v4. How much more going to happen? Smeb is invincible, as we know. 4v3 as another kill comes through. Now Deft caught out. There's the stars. There's the kills. ClearLove gets a bit of a terrify, but has to run for dear life. Smeb gonna drop the turret. I can put it on the Peanut. By the way, only ClearLove left alive. Now, yes, prey was killed, but it does not matter. Another flash kick for Peanut. Secures the ace. 5-1 and 5 on the Lee Sin. And Rox Tigers gonna make it a swift 2-0.
And very high kills for Rox Tigers. They averaged 18 kills per game in the group stage, but this was 18 kills in a much faster and more dominant fashion. Rox Tigers is gonna go 2-0.
People have their preconceived notions about what Korean League of Legends looks like. You see SKT, you see Samsung, you see the controlled play. That's not Rox Tigers. These guys build damage. These guys dive towers. Their Baron power plays are massive, and when they start going, 15 minutes on, they end the game before 30 more often than not.
And they definitely didn't start the tournament this way, so we really have to credit their ability to prepare and adapt in the week between the group stage and now, because as you mentioned, PapaSmithy, they do kind of change the way you think about Korean League of Legends. They are very different than the other teams that play in that region, and we saw a display of it right here. They play so much faster, are so much more willing to take risk because they play the percentages and they're very good at it.
Yeah, it just incredibly perceptive and understanding what these plays are going to be. And again, even taking the roads that aren't as obvious to other people, again, going off of the carry top lane and saying, you know, we don't need that one. Oh, you picked the Jhin. Oh, that's nice. We have a bottom lane planned for you, Deft, and you're not going to like it. There's plants. It's scary. You're going to take a lot of damage. And Rox Tigers show different play style. It's funny because you changed one champion and the way they played the game entirely changed. Instead of top side, it was bottom side. The way they won the game, entirely different. It wasn't split pushing, it was grouping up and diving turrets and rotations. And with one champion, Rox Tigers played an entirely different game and beat Edward Gaming even harder than the last one.
And the magnifying glass has been on Smeb. This guy got the big nod, #1 player at the tournament. Summer wasn't Smeb on Fiora on carries. It was Trundle, was the more tanky picks. His team kind of lost games around him, and then Trundle He can split push against Poppy, but he was forced to be more defensive. Didn't get much done until those big late game engages on the Kennen. But he also plays so intelligently, so smartly. He knows how to go for these flank engages. He's still what his team needs, even if he's not kind of this hope of the top lane carry that just kills everyone.
Yeah, and even Kuro has played very well in this series as well. He was kind of perceived as the worst player on the team coming in. Like, if there was a weak point, it was this guy in the mid lane, 2 Aurelion Sol games, 2 great ones, and this one he topped the damage in the game. So far, it's been beautiful for Rox Tigers, 2-0 to start it, but now let's send it down to Dash and the analyst for a closer look at the decisive victory.